415 million people have moved out of poverty. How did India manage to change the global development story so quietly?
Let's ground this in the numbers. Over the past 15 years, India cut multidimensional poverty from 55% down to just over 16%. That's 415 million people, one of the biggest shifts ever recorded. But when we say multidimensional, what does that really cover?
Good question. Traditional poverty lines usually mean income, say living on less than $2.15 a day. But the Multidimensional Poverty Index, or MPI, looks at things like health, education, and living standards. So it measures not just income, but whether people have clean water, electricity, proper nutrition, schooling, basic things that shape daily life.
So why is that broader view more useful than just looking at income?
Because money alone doesn't capture all the ways people can be deprived. Someone might earn just above the poverty line, but if they don't have a toilet or electricity, they're still facing serious challenges. By tracking these overlapping disadvantages, policymakers can target not just the symptoms, but the underlying causes.
Let's rewind to the early 2000s. Over half of India's population, more than 600 million people, were lacking basic needs, rural areas especially. Where did India even start with a challenge that big?
Two main things: economic growth and targeted government action. Growth brought jobs, more tax revenue, but it was policy that made the real difference. Housing programs like Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana helped millions get new homes. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan tackled sanitation, building over 100 million toilets. Saubhagya brought electricity to rural areas. Food subsidies expanded. Each of these programs was huge in its own right.
And rural employment programs played a big part too, didn't they? The Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, MGNREGA, offered paid work to tens of millions. That put money right into rural households.
Yes, absolutely. And in schools, the midday meal scheme improved nutrition and kept children attending classes. Investment was coordinated across health, education, and livelihoods, with a special focus on the most marginalized communities.
I'm curious about grassroots involvement. Was all of this driven by top-down government action, or was there more to it?
Definitely not just top-down. Community groups acted as the bridge. They identified the most vulnerable families, helped people access programs, and reported back when things weren't working. Their presence on the ground helped ensure support actually reached those who needed it, and kept everything more transparent.
The numbers show how profound the changes have been. Extreme poverty, using that $2.15 benchmark, dropped from 16% in 2011 to just 2.3% in 2022. Nutrition deprivation fell from 44% to 12%. Sanitation from 50% to 11%. Electricity from 29% to 2%.
It's not just about how many people, it's how quickly these changes happened. And the fastest improvements actually took place in the poorer states, places that had been left behind for decades.
But is this progress secure? Now that so many have crossed the poverty line, what threats do they face?
There are real risks. Economic shocks, like a recession or another pandemic, could push people back below the line. Climate change threatens agriculture, especially in rural areas, and some inequalities remain, especially in education and health quality. Continued investment in social protection and building resilience will be essential.
Let's turn to some listener questions. First, which programs had the biggest impact?
The Big Five: housing, sanitation, electricity, food security, and rural employment. Each one addressed a different kind of deprivation.
Can this model be replicated elsewhere?
The principles can be adapted: targeted, data-driven interventions and strong community engagement. But solutions must fit local needs. Reliable data and political will are key.
So why does India's story matter for the rest of the world?
because it proves that large-scale poverty can be tackled. India's approach, mixing economic growth, social policies, and grassroots participation, offers lessons for others. With a population over 1 billion, India's progress shows what's possible elsewhere.
It's a reminder that behind these statistics are real lives. Hundreds of millions now have electricity, toilets, and other basics that transform day-to-day living.
And the work isn't finished. The key lessons: keep targeting the most vulnerable, invest in resilience, and always be ready to adapt. That's the takeaway for policymakers everywhere.
That wraps up today's discussion. We covered how India lifted 415 million people out of poverty, the data, the policies, the challenges, and why this matters beyond India. Thanks for joining us.
Stay curious, keep questioning, and join us next time for more stories that matter.